answer, for only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me.
How long do we have to wait for a president that gets it, who can move us ahead instead of heading backwards? How long do we have to wait until college is affordable, until there's jobs that pay us our worth, until we can get justice? How long till we can vote him out and vote for someone who's gonna transform this country? That's why I'm with Joe.
I'm with Joe.
I'm with Joe.
I'm with Joe.
Shop Talk Milwaukee. And now, please welcome the founder and owner of G's Clippers, G. Smith.
Hello and welcome. I want to welcome everyone to G's Clippers, America's barbershop. And at this time, I want to introduce Chuck Creekmur. Chuck Creekmur is co-founder and CEO and co-CEO of allhiphop.com. Chuck is an outstanding journalist. He is a trailblazer creating a unique path in internet content and technology. I want to introduce you guys, Chuck Creekmur.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. How's it going? Just wanted to say hello to everyone. How's everybody doing? My name is Chuck Creekmur. Some people might call me Jigsaw. I'm one of the co-founders of allhiphop.com, and we are the longest running, consistently running hip-hop website on the planet. We are a community of lovers of hip-hop that have been known to engage deeply within our communities. We have developed and really sustained a platform for over 2 decades that has firm roots with the people. And we provided a voice for the voiceless in a lot of ways. I want to urge everyone out there to get out and do whatever you can at this time. Get out and push hard for everyone in your communities and beyond to vote and to really do your part. This is a real time where consequences are real if you don't vote. And I think that we can see this all playing out live on television. We can see this playing out live in our social networks. We can see this playing out live in all facets of life. So I want to say proudly that allhiphop.com is a Black-owned company, and we've remained Black-owned for that reason, to continuously allow our voices to be heard, particularly in this hip-hop context and this hip-hop lens, where a lot of times those voices are muted and we don't even know they're muted. So with that, I say thank you for having me. Continue to fight, continue to stay resolute, practice good health mentally and physically and spiritually, I might add. And again, thank you very much. All Hip Hop is here as a platform for the people, of the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Congressman from Louisiana, Cedric Richmond.
Let me just take a moment to thank G for being our host, but this would absolutely not be a true Black barbershop experience without a little trash talking. And G, I saw that Green Bay football helmet up to over your shoulder to the right. I just want you to know I do represent the Saints right here.
Oh my God.
And if that's not good enough, I do represent our LSU National Championship with the helmet that turned colors as you look at it. So I just want you to know that Louisiana's in full effect, and one little hurricane won't stop us. But on a serious note, I think that it's a good transition to where we are. Part of what government is there to do is help people when they find themselves in a position where they don't have their own ability to lift themselves up. So whether it's COVID-19 and our Black businesses, and we're projected to lose 40% of Black businesses in this country that will not recover from coronavirus and the economic impact of it. Just like a hurricane or a mudslide, government has to be there to help. And that's on the economic side. But then on the real life side, what the NBA players did yesterday was phenomenal in the sense that they're not doing it for their kids. Their kids, for the most part, are going to be okay. They're doing it for kids that they don't know, kids that they will never meet, Black men and Black women that they will never meet. And I think that that's what makes America special, is that we come together to help people who need it. And the history of the country is that we fight to strive to be a more perfect union. And the problem is President Trump just doesn't have it in him. He doesn't worry about anyone else. And look, not Black people, not white people, not rural, not urban. If your last name is not Trump, he has little concern for you. And at some point, the people have to rise up. And the other thing that's important is that we don't need other people coming to us to tell us what's best for the Black community. We have the intellectual capacity, we have the wherewithal, we have the grit to shape our own future. And if you look at G's Barbershop, you're looking at a place that is not only a sanctuary, but it is a thriving business. And we need to make sure that there's support there, one. And two, that the people who frequent his barbershop are safe, and it's actually liberty and justice for all. So with that, let me just say that today is a very special day, but it's an important day for Black men to have honest conversations, talk a little trash, but more importantly, talk about the future we want for our children and for our families. And not to mention that we still owe a debt of gratitude to our ancestors who marched so that we could have the right to vote without knowing how many, bubbles in a bar of soap, how many jelly beans in a bottle. They boycotted so that we could go to some of the best schools in the country. And they did all of those things so that we could live out our life to our fullest dreams. And now we owe that to the next generation and to others. So that's why I'm really excited to be on with such an awesome panel of accomplished Black men who have more than paid their dues, but beat the odds and still care enough to make sure that they pave a way for the people coming behind them. So they are the bridge builders. So with that, again, let me just thank everybody for being on this, highlight the importance of voting, making sure that everybody talks to their family about having a plan to vote, stressing early voting in person, voting by mail if we have to, but if necessary, showing up on Election Day. So let me just, again, thank everybody. I think I'm turning it back over to you, G, or maybe the voice of God, but I don't, follow directions very well. So whoever's next, just take it over.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Kamala Harris.
Good evening. First of all, I know we are all praying for Wisconsin today and for the Blake family, Jacob Blake's family. As Joe put it, the shots fired at Jacob Blake pierced the soul of our nation. We talked to his mother today, and she told us about the trauma he and his young sons have faced, who watched his sons, watched their father being shot. And that trauma may never end. We all know too well that Jacob is not alone. Black men in our communities and all across our country are fighting for their lives every day. So even as we continue to pray for him and his family, we need more than thoughts and prayers right now. We need energy, urgency, and leadership. Frankly, we need drastic change and we need reform. Not just for Jacob or Brianna or George, but for everyone who feels under assault by their own government and police, and for everyone committed to the hard work of transforming law enforcement to defend the lives and the dignity of all people all the time. We are in a battle for the soul of our nation, and we must stop the violence unfolding now in our streets. Protest is an American response to the anger and frustration that we are feeling now, and it is protest that has brought about over generations the kind of change that gets us closer to the ideals that we say we hold dear. And of course, we cannot allow violence to overtake the reason for these protests. Jacob's own mother found the strength to tell us that she was praying for the nation and calling for an end to the violence and for our nation to heal. That healing will require raised voices demanding real change. It will also require action. That's how we truly honor peaceful protest and justly diffuse violence on our streets. By taking meaningful, hard-fought action against systems and traditions of oppression, which is why we are here, and exactly what to expect and what you can expect from a Biden-Harris administration. In Wisconsin, Black men face some of the highest incarceration rates, lowest graduation rates, largest wealth gaps, and most disproportionate health disparities in the entire country. So we need to change this. We must do better, and we will do better. Right now, Kenosha is hurting, angry, and exhausted. While these emotions fuel protest and outrage, we know one of the best outlets for our collective outrage is to be involved in the community and to change the circumstances of our world. And that is why we're here. We've come to Milwaukee to launch Shop Talk, a pathway for Black men to engage with this campaign on the challenges that exist for Black men and to turn talk into action and real solutions. And that is why we are relying on your leadership. We must remain focused on galvanizing support and defeating Donald Trump. This source of leaders, voices, and solutions must continue to drive change far beyond Election Day. In a Biden-Harris administration, the well-being of Black men and the success will very much be at the forefront of our efforts. And we will need you right there with us every step of the way. We are in a critical moment in our country, a moment for change like this may never reemerge in our lifetimes. And that's why our opponents at every level of government are trying to suppress the votes of Black people in every way imaginable. We are committed to stand by you and fight for meaningful change. You are so critical to this campaign in this country, and we stand together. We stand together in this fight. We are all in this together. So let's all hold on to hope. Let us keep our faith and keep it close. And let us pledge together to stay in this fight, this ongoing fight for justice, because we know that our country needs us, the people of our country need us, and our leadership, all of us together, more than ever. Thank you and take care.
And thank you, Senator Kamala Harris. And we are definitely praying for the families of Jacob Blake. But before I introduce the three individuals from Wisconsin here, I could not let this slide with Congressman's comments on the Packers. But let me tell you something. I was trying to stay politically correct, but hey, I can't let it slide. The Milwaukee Bucks, Milwaukee Packers, Brewers. Wisconsin Packers. Listen, those are my teams. And listen, I know you're the congressman over at in Louisiana, And I was just talking today about how cool of a guy you seem. But I'm not going to let your love for those teams get the best. But let me go on.
G, just for the
Let
record.
me go on and proceed at this time.
Hold on, but I have to go. No. I have, but I will say this. Both the Packers and the Saints have won a Super Bowl. Please don't start with Terrence J or Jermaine Dupri about the Falcons winning half of a Super Bowl at halftime and not being able to close the deal up 28-3. So with that, I'm just going to scoot off the call. Remember, it's a good lesson that this election is not over until we vote on November 3rd. We cannot celebrate halfway through. We have to win. I went to Morehouse. I love Atlanta. Half my family's there, so I felt the pain of my Falcons fans. So just don't let a little friendly ribbon get to you, Atlanta fans. So, G, thank you so much for hosting and allowing me to crash this party today.
Without a doubt. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I want to introduce a friend of mine, the Violence Prevention Manager at the City of Milwaukee's Office of Violence Prevention. And I'll introduce Dr. Rob Biko Baker. He's a close friend of mine as well. He's the founder of Render. And Anthony Davis, president of NW.
Oh, freezing up.
I got lost. Jamal Smith. So it looks like we're going to Dr. Rob Biko Baker. Welcome.
How you doing, G? Appreciate you for joining me. You got that great look back there at that bank.
Only if money was in it, man. Only if some money was in it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, but I appreciate the opportunity. I know that, you know, the Biden campaign, I appreciate them reaching out to me. I know that I know how important Milwaukee is. G, as you know, for years, we've worked to knock doors and make sure that young people of color are participating in this process. And so much is on the line. And I just encourage everybody that I know in Milwaukee not to blow it. Let's not blow it.
Yes, definitely. And thank you. Next, is it Jamal or Anthony Davis?
Jamal is here.
All right, Jamal.
Thank you, G.
Welcome, Jamal Smith.
Appreciate it, brother. As a proud customer of G's Clippers, I appreciate you for being here. And I thank the Biden campaign for the invitation. I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation. Obviously, we know the importance of the November 3rd election, but this is just one step, right? We have to understand that beyond the voting becomes the accountability. I kind of look at it, and I think my brother, Dr. Baker, will appreciate this. As people who have participated in sports for years, the hardest part of sports is practice, right? So by the time you get to the game, all you're doing is implementing the strategies that you learned in the practice. So when it comes to voting, that is considered the game aspect, but the hardest part is the accountability structures over the administration. So we're making sure that we're pushing not only the voting, but ensuring that we're holding our public officials accountable to bringing about the necessary changes that will benefit our community. So I'm definitely proud to be a part of this conversation and looking forward to what's in stake for this evening.
Yes, thank you. Anthony Davis?
G,
Yes.
this is my first time. I had an opportunity to be over at the facility over there. I got a cousin that lives in the area, in the Milwaukee area, and she took me by there, to give me a little tour of the place. I enjoyed that tour. We had to sit down and have a little snack while we were in the building. But first of all, we're dealing with a lot here in Kenosha. It's been difficult for us with the death of Jacob Blake. The shooting of Jacob Blake. And I just appreciate, you continue to pray for us and all that you're doing. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. And next, I'm going to introduce some individuals. And I think I got a question for. I'm so sorry, guys. We made a couple of changes here, but as we've heard already, there's a lot of pain and a lot of frustration here in Milwaukee, in Kenosha, and across Wisconsin. What plans do Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have to meet this moment and to address the needs of Black men?
I think that's a great question, and I'm looking forward to see what the Biden campaign is. We just came out of the powerful Democratic convention, and the Republican Party has a vision that clearly many of us are not involved or attached to, and so I'm excited to hear more about that. But I do know whatever the campaign is, the plan is for, we have to, as young people of color, young men of color, we got to be engaged, and as my brother Jamal highlighted, we got to hold all of our elected officials accountable through our action and engagement. After all, even when Barack Obama was elected in 2008, he asked us to hold him accountable.
Trey, taking point on the second.
Anyone else?
Trey, taking point on the second.
Well,
go ahead, brother Dick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm excited about the campaign at this time because, like I said, all that we're dealing with here in Wisconsin, there need to be some changes made, and we believe they can do that through the Biden-Harris ticket to help us in Wisconsin as we deal with the incarceration rates and all the other things that we're dealing with in Wisconsin. We just appreciate the opportunity just to be here today.
All right. Now, at this time, I want to introduce Trey Baker. Trey Baker is Biden for President's National Director of African American Engagement.
Hey, thank you so much, G. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to come to your barbershop. And thank you also for setting up in the location that we wanted you to set up. This conversation today is so important because we are hearing from local individuals who are feeling the pain of what's going on right in the moment. And it's our position in the Biden-Harris campaign that because of the empathy, because of the understanding that this campaign has for communities just like yours, that whether it's around policing or around criminal justice reform or around that very core issue of the creation of wealth in our communities, the Biden-Harris administration will be best positioned to help communities through its racial equity program, which will make sure that there is $150 billion invested in community in CDFI banks and Black-owned banks. We'll make sure that people have access to housing with a $15,000 first-time tax credit. And so those are things that will ultimately help communities like those in Wisconsin. And ultimately in situations like in Kenosha, the Biden administration is pushing for reforms in policing that will include bans to chokeholds, making sure that there's an independent prosecutor when there's an instance of police misconduct in communities, like what we've seen. And so because of those issues, because of that understanding that it's about having some accountability in those communities, as opposed to what the current administration is trying to do and go to war with those communities, the Biden administration will be much better positioned to be helpful in situations and be understanding when it comes to things like these police misconduct issues and the unrest that follows from it. And so we're just so happy to be with you today and so happy to hear from local voices, first of all, and take this conversation nationally.
Excellent. Okay. Well, at this time, I want to introduce three individuals. It really needs no introduction. First is Jermaine Dupri, producer, Atlanta resident, and is most known. Well, this guy has so successes. I'm so proud of this guy's catalog. He discovered Criss Cross in '91, Bow Wow, TLC, Usher, Escape, The Brat, and many more. Catalog goes on and on. Terrence J, actor, is most known for co-anchor of E! News and BET's 106 in Park back in 2006 and 2012. Starred in movies, Think Like a Man 1 and 2. He's an author. Very impressive. I think Trey has the pleasure of introducing the other individual. I apologize. Trey?
Yes, so our panel will include Jermaine Dupri, Terrence J, and author and noted political analyst Bakari Sellers. So we're happy to have all of them with us right now.
Oh, okay. Bakari I apologize. I didn't know that Bakari was able to make it. I pray for your son, man. I pray he's doing well.
Yeah. No, we here. We ready, man. You know, you got little bumps and bruises, but
that's all right.
Yeah, we here. Let's go. What's
Well,
up?
that's good.
What's up?
How you doing?
JD? What up? I'm glad to be in the Milwaukee barbershop. I'm happy, man. Let's
all right, my man. Well, welcome.
For sure.
All right. Well, I'm gonna pose the question to you guys again that I posed to the residents here of Wisconsin. As we've heard already, there's a lot of pain and frustration here in Milwaukee, in Kenosha, and across Wisconsin. What Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have to meet this moment and to address the needs of Black men?
I'll jump in there first.
Either one of you guys can take it first.
Let me jump in.
All right.
I first of all, I have a great deal of admiration for JD, great deal of admiration for Terrence J. Everything they've done, they've helped pave the way for me in different mediums. I will tell you that I will die on this hill. Da Brat is the best female rapper ever, and I just want y'all to know that there can be no. Hey, we not debating that tonight.
All right.
But you know, one of the things that I think about today is you know, my son. We were here in the hotel room, and he pulled the dresser down on his leg, and so you know, our heart dropped. I was picking him up. You know, he was having trouble walking on it, and taking him to the emergency room. I called Kamayo, and everybody said I wasn't gonna be able to make it. But you know, your heart drops, and you do everything you can do for your son. Right. And so that level of empathy is something that is just God given. And, you know, as Black men, you know, immediately, while the reason I'm participating in this and the reason I think, you know, Biden and Harris can meet this moment is because I'm a father, you know, and I'm a father to two beautiful daughters and a Black son. And, you know, for me, the image in my head right now is the image of Jacob Blake being pulled on his T-shirt by officers, and one of them, you know, pointing that gun in his back, juxtaposed against a white boy, 17 years old, purple gloves on and an AR or AK. I couldn't tell the difference from where I was sitting, walking right by police. And, I just think that we have to meet this moment head on with honesty and with truth. And talks like this are important because far too long we've been talking to Black men, but we haven't been listening to Black men. And so tonight I'm just happy to be with my brothers and be a part of a panel like this so we can share our views, but also kind of dissect and chop it up about how we can move forward.
I'll piggyback right off of that. Well, first of all, when they said that this was a shop talk, I got really excited because I really need a haircut bad. So I didn't know we were going to do this in person. Then it moved to a virtual thing. And now, I should have pulled the JD. I wish I had a hat on right now. Corey, you looking good, man. You got everything together. You looking good. I'm a little off. So pardon me because I'm not as fresh as I'd like to be for the shop right now. But to piggyback off what you just said, these I don't even want to say this past couple of months. These past 4 years, I feel like I've been pulling out my hair. There's been so much that's happened in our country, back to back to back. And when you think about these last couple of months, and everything that's taken place with the Black Lives Matter movement and all of these new videos that have now surfaced, with senseless acts of police brutality, we need people in office from the top up that are ready to confront this systematic change. A lot of people feel empowered. A lot of people feel enabled, and we're seeing so much more. That imagery that you talked about of the 17-year-old kid with an AR rifle walking in. That's because the last 3 years, since he was 15, 14 years old, he's been empowered, right? That he thinks it's okay to do that, and we lost 2 lives because of that. And so I'm so happy that this event came together. I've had the privilege of knowing Joe Biden for years. I spent a lot of time in the Obama White House, and with his administration, I can tell from personal experience and personal conversations in his office that man cares. He really sincerely cares about all Americans and what's going on. And we need somebody in there that cares about Black people and that cares about us. So I think that it's important to have this dialogue. We as Black men, we have to unify. We have to support our Black women. We have to support our Black people. And we have to make sure that we're putting together the things that we want to see and work with this administration so that we can accomplish more. But thank you all so much for having me. And I'm like you said, Bakari, we need the right person in office for the job.
Yeah, yes, I guess it's my turn. First of all, I'm gonna say it's all Falcons. Since we in here talking, it's all Falcons. I don't want to hear about nothing else. Yeah, we got to the championship and we kind of fumbled the ball, but it's all Falcons. I don't want to hear about nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. I don't hear about nothing.
Green Bay Packers, but go ahead.
Yeah, look. All right, but seriously, I wanted to join this panel today because throughout my whole career, my career has been built on the backs of people that paved the way, right? And I'm from Atlanta, where a lot of young Black politicians took to politics and got involved with this at a very young age. And something about it at that age when they got involved made it was cool to them, and it was something that they really wanted to be a part of. And for some reason, that coolness or that want to be a part of politics has got lost with this new generation, and even my generation. We don't pay attention to it as much. I don't know. I don't have a bunch of friends that wanted to be politicians or anything. So I feel like it's important to bring back the want to be a part of this. I've seen Quincy Jones tell a group of me and other people that how important it was to vote back in like 10, 20 years ago almost. He said this. And just to see the older generation tell us that voting is the most powerful tool that we actually have, I feel like it's important for us to join forces with someone who wants to listen, someone who wants to hear what we're talking about. And I had a conversation with Biden, with myself, Dallas Austin, T.I., Jeezy, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, and a couple other people from Atlanta. And he took the time out to come and listen and hear what we had to say. And I feel like as long as we got somebody that's willing to do that, and we're held accountable to say what needs to be said, this is the perfect place and perfect platform to be, and these are the perfect people to be behind.
I agree. Very, very, very well put. I mean, I know we've said in the past for previous elections that this is the most important election of our time. When I tell you this is the most important election of our time, so we must bring this country back together. So much division, definitely. So thank you, fellas. Very, very well put. And at this time,
if I can, G, I just wanted to jump in and mix it up a little bit, because what's so good about this panel is that we have national figures, but we got people who are on the ground right there in Wisconsin. And so I'd like to get a feel from Anthony Davis, who I know is in the Kenosha area, about what's going on the ground there. So we can all know on a national level what y'all are going through and what you're feeling. So I'd just like to hear about what you're seeing right there in Kenosha.
Well, what I'm seeing right here in Kenosha, it's heartbreaking. As I mentioned earlier, to see the young man the video where he got shot has had a terrible effect on the whole community. We're in the process of mourning. We're just asking for your support during this time. But the worst thing that's happening right now is that we have folks that are destroying our properties, and we have so many people that they're going to be hurting now. Some are put out of their homes. They don't have the businesses that the small mom and pop type shops. They're all gone now. Our uptown area is totally devastated. I was riding home and to watch that. Look, everything was boarded up. It made me think about what they went through down there in Louisiana during the hurricanes. We had to board everything up. I've never seen that in Kenosha before. It just hurts. We're working to get through this. We're trying to bring our folks together. But the biggest thing that we're dealing with is how police treat our people, treat our brothers and sisters up here, where they don't treat them with respect, don't treat them with kindness, because of the color of their skin. As we're talking about, the first ones they come after is a brother. But if a white boy walk down the street with a handgun, he can go home free. And that has really turned our folks off with our police department and along with the policemen. I'm not saying all cops are bad, but what I'm saying is they got some bad ones in there that really need to address that situation and have some cameras on these guys whenever they go out.
Trey, if I may, and G, if I real quick, I want to just chime in.
Jump in there.
I want to chime in, and then I want to ask Terrence and JD a question. I'm my bad. They didn't give me no script or nothing, so I'm just kind of making up my own rules as I go. That's like, I know even Joe Biden probably asked if he could move the capital to Atlanta. You can't do stuff like that, but we're gonna try anyway, right? So, I think that the pain that we're feeling as Black men is something that we have to now put action behind. And watching LeBron and Kawhi and all these guys in the bubble, watching the WNBA, watching MLS, watching Major League Baseball, watching all of these people take a stand. My question to JD and to Terrence, I think you guys would answer it better than I is, when you hear Brother Davis articulate so well the trauma that his pain, the trauma and pain that his city is going through, and we always, whenever we're asked, we say two things. We always say, We condemn the rioting, looting. We understand it, but we condemn the rioting and looting. Nobody should be out there burning anything down, right? Let's not even go there. But we also say y'all got to stop killing us, right? I mean, they're two things. So JD and Terrence, my question to you both is, how do we use our platforms best? Like JD, you talk to people when you talked about T.I. and Jeezy, and you got the mayor's ear in Atlanta. I mean, Georgia's a swing state now. How do you use your platform? And Terrence J, I mean, tell me some of the things we can do, because we have to be able to go out, and the people watching. I mean, if you're spending your Thursday night watching a Shop Talk on Zoom, you engaged, right? So what do we tell people right now that they can do tangibly to go out and effectuate change, like to convince people? Because it ain't enough to say, my father was shot in the civil rights movement, right? He literally bled. He went to prison. It's not enough to say to people anymore that people fought and died for that. They want to know what's in it for me. So my question to both of you all respectively is, what do we tell people who may be on the fence? How do we get them out? And JD, what is your cohort doing that is more influential than us all?
For me, I like I said, I try to use what I've seen and where I come from to like fuel other people. I think for the longest y'all been hearing me say Atlanta. And in the process of me saying this when I was younger, I didn't even know how powerful my city was in me saying this, right? And as I've gotten older, and even through this time period that we're going through, I realized how much different Atlanta is, and how much of this city, the people in my city actually really get out and vote, and really put people in office, and in different chairs, not just mayors, and not just I see a lot of people here voting for sheriffs. I see a lot of people voting for just a bunch of different things that you should vote for, and it doesn't solve all of the problems. I will say that it doesn't solve all the problems, but it does make a safer space for us as Black people. And one of the things I learned coming up and growing up in Atlanta and going to other places, that's what I always kept hearing people say. Like if you watch Menace to Society, at the end of Menace to Society, right before one of the guys got killed, and him and Jada, their plans was to move to Atlanta, because in the mindset of Black people outside of this city, this is a place where Black people are taken care of a lot different than other places. And all I say is that same energy that we have in this city can happen other places. And I try to just like force people, and try to get people to do the same things that we do, and vote and get involved and be involved with the city. I think yes, our mayor comes and speaks to the artists of the town, and the artists of the town go speak to the mayor, and it's not a separation, right? And I feel like we are in a world now where it can't be a separation. It's got to be all of these places. I know for me, I'm sitting here asking, I want to know more about Kenosha, because I don't know anything about it. So I want to know more about the city, the background of the city, and what's the Black population in that in Kenosha. Am I saying it right? Yeah, that's it.
Yes, Kenosha.
Yeah.
And I think that brings in a good point. And so I want to turn to Jamal Smith and Dr. Baker, who are there in Wisconsin, and just ask y'all, we're on this national platform right now. We having the Shop Talk. We're going back and forth, but just want to know what are those things that people should know right now, the folks who are interested, like JD said, and what's really going on. What should we be knowing about what's going on in Wisconsin, and what's the message you want to give out to folks while we have this platform? I'll start with Jamal.
Well, there's a couple things that we can speak to that. First off, when you look at the data in terms of racial disparities across the country, we have to recognize that Wisconsin has been deemed the worst place for African Americans to live. From the 24/7 Wall Street report, there were 5 cities that have been labeled as the worst cities for African Americans. Wisconsin has 2. Number 1 is Milwaukee. Number 2 is Racine. Right. So we've seen historically that the impact of racism and racial injustice that has permeated through this country has been very prevalent within this country. So when you start asking about what's the feeling of what's happening, whether it's in Milwaukee or what has happened tragically in Kenosha, what we're really seeing is compounded frustration at the irregularity of these actions. But the flip side of that is that there's no shock value that exists within these actions anymore. So when you really look at, a lot of the times looking at the data, whether we're talking about criminal justice, whether we're talking about housing, food, education, small businesses, and I know that's part of the plan that Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris have, is addressing the impact of small businesses. There are large disparities that are very much prevalent within the state, right? But then we also look, when we're talking about criminal justice, we know that Wisconsin has the largest incarceration rate for African Americans in the country, right? So this is something that we're just looking at all of these different practices that have been historically problematic within the state. And we know that these are, obviously with the momentum that is happening behind all of the protests. And I got to give a shout out to Brother Khalil Coleman, who was leading the People's Revolution here with the protest here. And Brother Frank Nitti that is marching from, and Tory Lowe is marching from here to DC to be a part of the march in DC. But with the People's Revolution, they've been marching for over 80 days straight, right? Because of what happened with George Floyd, but not just what happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, but we had our own homicide through police brutality with Brother Joel Acevedo right here in Milwaukee, right? So we know within the grounds of this state, the problematic aspect of racial injustice that exists. And we are just continuing to make sure that we're fighting against these injustices, that we're holding again our public officials accountable, and making sure that the platform and the agenda is centered around addressing these issues that continuously perpetuate the racial injustice that has existed in this state for generations. We're not even talking about the last 4 years, right? This administration has done nothing but given more of a platform, but that racism has continuously existed within this state and across this country for generations. So just continuing to ensure to bring awareness to the impact of racial injustice and ensuring that we're going to hold our public officials, whether that's on a federal, state, or local level, accountable to addressing those disparities. And we have to also acknowledge that Milwaukee was the first city to say that racism is a public health crisis. We were the first city to make that declaration, and standing on that declaration and moving forward in ensuring that we're addressing it from a public health aspect.
Turning to Biko Baker, what's happening? What's your perspective there that we need to know here at a national level?
Well, I'm gonna say the first one, and appreciate y'all having me on. The first one is we got to know that Milwaukee and Wisconsin have been a battleground for voting rights since Scott Walker was governor. They've been working for years to try to make it harder for us to vote. And I don't know if y'all paid attention, but we voted during COVID at record rates because we love to vote here. So, that's why they're doing that. But the other thing I'm going to say this just to pivot, because I know a lot of times when we talk about Milwaukee, we always talk about the negativity, but we got some brothers here that can get it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? Shouting out to my brother G from G's Clippers and his brothers who've been not only providing places for us to get our haircut, but also places for us to party, kick it, maybe find a partner or two, and party, But if we can make Milwaukee follow the lead that people like JD in Atlanta, where they saw their own culture and owned it and believed in their own art and culture, I believe we can turn all that stuff around. So I'm not, I'm asking the Biden campaign and Kamala Harris to invest in Black artists and Black entrepreneurs, because we'll solve our own problems when they do that.
Yeah, I'm going to jump into off of the last question and off of what Rob just said. When you look at what JD was just talking about with Atlanta and how they've created their own, infrastructure, the little petri dish of the world and a place and a destination where all of us want to live. It's an example of how when we vote and when we organize and when we stand together, we can, if I get arrested in Atlanta, I know I can call JD and he can call somebody that can help me out, right? And so 100%, right? And so for us, conversations like this are so important. I'm so glad that I've gotten to meet you brothers on this call. I want to be able to use my platform and jump off and hit a couple million people on Instagram and Twitter and be able to mobilize as much as we can. Because it's about, we're not saying Atlanta can fix all the problems in the world, but the fact that there's a level of accountability, I think is very important in the steps in getting things done. And that's why I'm really excited about this campaign in particular. They have a plan for Black America. It's a broad plan with a lot of different points that addresses HBCUs. It addresses our health crisis, and all of those things are going to help us to get to what we need. So that's why I'm fully supporting it. And again, I'm just so happy to be able to jump on the line with you guys and use my platform in any way I can to reach out, especially the young people, so that we can mobilize and get to these polls and do these mail-in ballots and get this other guy out of office.
No doubt. Thank you, fellas. Thank you so much. But before we go further, I wanted to address Jermaine question. And I think Anthony Davis will probably be best. But what I can say is, I'm just speaking of Kenosha and the makeup. What I can say is Kenosha is the last city that you go through before you hit Chicago. So it's about 40 minutes from, about 35 to 40 minutes south of Milwaukee. So what is the makeup, Davis, in terms of African-American?
By population, we know we have around about 100,000. 8% is African-American. That's it.
Okay. I didn't know it was that much. I thought it was much more than that.
Yeah. Everybody thought it was much more than that. 8%. I believe when all the factories went away that we had here, a lot of folks left here and all the jobs left here. So, 8%.
Okay, excellent. Well,
but you're in a lot, so that's what I'm saying. That's why I needed to know, not to cut you off. I just needed to know that ain't, I needed to know what we dealing with.
Excellent.
But let me chime in.
Right.
We got to remember though that Wisconsin was a state that we only lost last go round by a few. Mandela could probably tell us a little bit more, but we only lost Wisconsin, by 15, 20, 30,000 votes last go round. It wasn't a whole lot. All those votes are either in Kenosha or Milwaukee, or we can find those votes. Like you got to realize, like when we talk about Hillary Clinton's race, she lost this race by 90,000, 100,000 people. It was 30,000 votes in Michigan, I believe. I mean, we know Black churches. You talking about Bible Way. Not Bible Way, New Birth in Atlanta got 30,000 members in it. You know what I'm saying? So what we have to do, and I want to be extremely clear, and I'm going to reverse statistics, which I hate doing when I speak, but you just got to understand. 96% of Black women supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. But 13% of Black men voted for Donald Trump, right? And I hear Dr. Baker's point, and that's what I'm talking about, right? And so when people ask me, why am I supporting Joe Biden? It's clear for me. You have a Black equity plan that we can hold you accountable for. You have a Black agenda we can hold you accountable for. We have a Black female VP. We're going to get a Black Supreme Court justice. These are tangible things that we're talking about. And when you watch the RNC, I have to watch it for work, so y'all forgive me. But when you watch the RNC, the only thing they know about Black folk and Black men in particular is Herschel Walker, Tim Scott, Daniel Cameron, who can talk but can't arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor, and criminality. That's all they know about us, right? It's either we gonna give them criminal justice reform and we gonna give them a pardon, but nobody, to Dr. Baker's point, is talking about lifting up African-American small businesses like Joe is, right? No one's talking about ensuring that we go to school and have a first-class education. No one's talking about the fact that many of us live in cities where our infrastructure is falling apart, where we can't get clean water. Flint ain't the only one. And so, yeah, we want criminal justice reform, but we also want to be able to have a sense of Black power. And I do not mean to scare white folk when I say that. When I say Black power, I'm talking about making sure that we have economic opportunity, educational opportunity, that we can actually be self-sufficient and rebuild our own communities. And that's why I didn't mean to piggyback off your entire point, Dr. Baker, but I just agree with it because you hit every note, which is important. To make sure we understand why people should vote. And Mandela probably knows better than me. Shout out, man. I don't know where Mandela getting his haircut in this pandemic. I hear you. Terrence down there sacrificing. Mandela look fresh, looking like a Shea Moisture.
It doesn't grow.
Well,
let's bring the Lieutenant Governor in.
That's what I was about to say.
And talk
I was about
about
to introduce him. Yeah, I was about to introduce him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't know you made
and
it.
I do have to.
Welcome.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I do have to jump in a second. I got to hop on to do some RNC response stuff. But yeah, honestly, man, looking at the moment that I'm actually just getting off the road from Kenosha. So I had a chance to go down there, talk to some community members, had a chance to speak to the family on the phone, man. And this stuff, dude, is challenging because Wisconsin is a tough place to, like what was mentioned, it is ranked consistently as the worst place to raise a Black child. I mean, that's statistics that we've been fighting for a long time. Like, if you've lived here, that's not been a surprise. This isn't something new. Didn't just happen when Donald Trump got elected. Police brutality didn't start with Jacob Blake, George Floyd. Didn't even start with Dontre Hamilton. These have long been issues here in Wisconsin. And shout out to so many people I see right now, like Jamal Biko, G. I'm on my iPad, so I can't see all the cubes. I can only see 9. So forgive me if I didn't mention you. But the fight that we're in right now, it's multi-layered. And without the economic piece, it's going to be very difficult for us to bounce back from COVID-19 or from, if we do get the full reckoning that we deserve when it comes to criminal justice reform, because police reform is an issue of criminal justice reform. I make the point that before a person goes to prison, they're in a courtroom. Before they're in a courtroom, they have an encounter with a police officer. And sometimes that encounter is deadly, and too often that encounter, we see people charged, getting these trumped up charges on stuff that so many people are able to get away with in a neighborhood 3 miles away, right? And these are experiences that most of us have had. And if we haven't had them on this call, we are only one degree away from those interactions. But it's important for us in leaders, especially from the top. I'm reminded all the time, leadership starts at the top. I completely agree with that. But we need to make sure that even electing Joe Biden, we have to recognize that it's step one. Like, I'm all in. I've endorsed. I'm campaigning for Biden everywhere I go. But recognize that that's the start. That's the step one. And I know we have a much better chance of holding Biden accountable than we do with the current occupant of the White House. And that means a whole lot, because at least Joe Biden has been responsive to the things that people have been calling out for. If you look at Joe Biden pre-Iowa and where he is now, with some of the positions that he's taken, with the platform that has developed over those months, it's something we should be encouraged by. Right. But in no way is November 3rd the end. We have to keep on going after that. And I think that even with more intensity, because we have more of a chance to get our agenda heard. And I keep repeating the same thing, that in the wake of COVID-19, in the wake of the uprising for racial justice, the worst thing we could do is not demand enough justice. And that is all across the board at every level. So, I'm not sure how much of the conversation, I'm not sure how much of this I repeated, because I could have just said the same exact things a bunch, because I'm getting on late. And that's actually the news calling right now. So I do have to log off, unfortunately. But it's real good to see y'all. I hate that I couldn't stay the whole time. I definitely hope we are able to connect later.
Without a doubt. Thank you, Mandela. Appreciate it, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you.
G, I think our time is running out.
I got one question, man. I got one question before we leave. I got a question for G in the barbershop and JD. I think Terrence, I don't know where Terrence probably had to cook dinner or something. Terrence a real domesticated domesticated man right now. In there making sure the biscuits were buttered and flipping the wings and stuff. But Terrence, you back. So both all three of y'all, and I want every, we 15 seconds or less, because I know Trey gonna get mad at me for doing this, but we got a black woman on it. I mean, we haven't talked about that yet. We got Kamala Harris on this ticket, and they've been dragging her through the mud on the right. Some of our brothers on the left have been doing it. I mean, how do we? I start with JD because you wrote. I was joking at the beginning. I wasn't really joking. Debrat is the best female rapper of all time. But you started out giving people a chance and engaging female hip hop artists. And Terrence, you've been a role model both in your personal life, your private life, and professional life. And G, you in a barbershop every day. And I'm not gonna call Mr. Brother Davis an old head, but you got some seasoning on you, right? So, brothers, I just want to talk about how do we protect? We making history again. How do we protect this woman who is a black woman who's running for VP? How do we raise our voices and tell us something we should be doing? Jamal and Dr. Baker as well.
I guess I'm gonna say I think that real quick I feel like we have to. One, she talks to us. She's spoken to me. She's spoken to a couple other people. So she talks to people and she wants to hear what we have to say. And I feel like one of the things that I keep hearing from the streets and younger people and people in my age bracket, they want to know how she feels about her past and how she's taken her past into this, right? And I think it's crazy because people don't. Only during elections do we try to make sure that the person that we're electing is as right as they could possibly be from birth to the time that they start going into the White House. So I feel like whatever people have heard and whatever people think about her, I wanted to hear what someone had to say about it on this call as well. The feeling that people have about her arresting more black and brown people than anybody. And that's that conversation that I continue to keep hearing. I feel like at some point, once that's addressed, I feel like she'll be in a better space with those that don't, that are naysaying and the people that you say are dragging her through the mud. All the other stuff that her past is her past. I just feel like we got to make sure. I don't know why it's being like, her past should be super clean. You can't forecast going to the White House. You know what I'm saying? That ain't something that we wake up in the morning and say that's gonna happen. So, we live life the way that we live. We gotta be able to understand that at this point, it's time for her to change whatever it is that people we don't like or whatever it is that we want to see, and we help her get to that space.
Terrence, you're on mute, brother. Terrence, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm piggybacking right off of what JD just said, man. You have these conversations, and now for whatever reason, especially online, everybody believes they're a political science major, and everybody believes they know so much about politics all of a sudden. But politics is a very dirty business, and in order to excel, a lot of times you have to reach across the aisle, and things are done. And so, for me, it's not as much of a focus on her record, right? Because right now we're in a pivotal point in our country where we know what we have in office right now. We know that the guy in office is not talking to us. And if you've been watching Senator Harris over the past couple of months, she's been knee deep in the fight for us, knee deep in Black Lives Matter, knee deep in vocalizing how she feels about all of these things. And I feel very confident in my personal conversations with her that what we're going to see in this White House is a person that's our advocate. And I think what you asked earlier, there's a joint part of the question of her being a Black woman in particular. And for me as a Black man, I want to make sure I'm letting it be known. I support that. I want that. I was raised by a Black woman. Most of my life, the heads of networks have been Black women that have supported me, producers that have given me opportunities. And I can't wait to have a Black woman in the second most powerful position in the country. And hopefully soon we'll have one, you know, in the most powerful position. So as Black men, I think it's important that we support our Black women. I think it's important that we vocalize it. She's going to need us, you know, and Black people more than ever, because everybody else is going to try to rip her apart. And so I think it's important for her to know that Black men, we have her back. We support her. Again, not giving any excuses for anybody's past record, which all needs to be addressed. But in the moving forward that we need to do as a country, we need people that are willing to have the conversations. And Ricard, you said it earlier, they're talking to us, which is a lot more than we can say about anybody in the administration right now. So I'm happy that we're all sitting at the table with them and that they're even organizing events like this. And we're going to continue to hold them accountable. But when it comes to Senator Harris, I'm fully on board and I'm rocking with her.
Well, let me jump in right here too, because as Black men, we have to protect Black women at all costs.
Yes.
I don't care what anybody says. We have to make sure that we have our Black women's back no matter what. They are depending on us. Black women have for so long done the right thing, been out there voting, making sure their families vote. And so it's up to us to get in with them and make sure that we're on the right path. I will say this about Senator Harris, because we've been talking about her record. There's a lot of misinformation and disinformation that's out here right now around her record. So whether it be her championing re-entry programs and make sure that people can get back into their lives and live their lives, or whether it's having launched implicit bias programs as Attorney General, or having a Bureau of Children's Justice to focus on children's civil rights, or opening pattern and practice investigations into various police departments when there were complaints of excessive force. Not only has she been right on the front lines, but she's been doing the work that it's going to take for our communities all around. And so she gets it. She absolutely gets it. And that's why she's the right choice. And that's why this Biden-Harris ticket is the right choice. So I wanted to make that known first and foremost. We're going to protect Black women at all costs. And then we're going to go out and make sure that we're telling the story about why this ticket is best. G, I'm sorry I had to jump in and talk, but we do have to, they're telling me we do have to turn it down. So I just wanted to give you the opportunity to close us out. But before I do, I want to make sure that the people who are listening, if you want to get involved in the campaign, text AFAM, that's AFAM, to 30330. Text AFAM to 30330 to learn about the next shop talks that we have, to learn about our Make It Happen Monday for small businesses that we do, for our sister talks. We got so much programming that's available for you. All you got to do is text AFAM, AFAM 30330. So I want to pass it over to our host. Thank you to all of our panelists, but I do want to pass it to our host to close us out.
All right, thank you. And you, Trey, and Terrence J took the words right out of my mouth. We must protect our women, must protect them. But at this time, for my closing remarks, Joe Biden believes that we're in a battle for the soul of this nation. He believes that we make this moment one for action and finally deliver on much needed and overdue reforms to dismantle systemic racism. He has the plan and vision to build back better than before and to bring everyone along. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you all for the input. Thank you all that came to listen. Good night.
For only love can conquer hate. You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in here today. Oh, picket lines and picket signs. Don't punish me with brutality.